And here's what's happening at Ewetopia Farms today. In today's video, we're going to be spreading manure, dealing with sheep manure and bedding packs. So that's what we're going to focus on. People forego putting bedding out and are using slatted floors. Saves us on having to buy so much liquid fertilizer. So what we take away from the soil with cropping, we're trying to put back every year. Let's get started. In today's video, we're going to be spreading manure. It's a dirty job, but like Arnie said, someone has to do it, and it has to be done fairly frequently. We're in Canada, as many of you know, and we run a sheep farm that is both indoors and outdoors. And of course, because it's basically winter in Canada 6 months of the year, a lot of our farming is done indoors. And when you're farming indoors, you are going to be dealing with sheep manure and bedding packs. So that's what we're going to focus on today. I know some of you would prefer to see just the sheep, or some would prefer to see more the running of the farm type thing. But we're trying to keep a little bit of a balance so that everyone gets a little bit of everything. But at the end of the day, our farming vlogs, they're daily. So if you get tired of watching our videos every day, it kind of gives you a feel for how we as farmers might get a little tired too, because a lot of the things are tedious and happen every day, and there's not a lot of changes. But at the same time, every day presents a little learning experience, or you get to appreciate the sheep. Something happens. There's usually in life, there's always something that happens. So along with the routine, there's also the novel things that occur. But unlike viewers, farmers can't opt to not be there that day. They have to go through it, and it's part of our responsibility. And I kind of hope that people will watch every day, because I do think when you see something over and over again, you get tired of it and you need a break. And one thing you have to realize is that farmers don't get breaks. It's rare. It has to be a farmer with a big family or something like that that can spot them. Otherwise, it's a 24/7, like every day, every single day for years and years and years. Occasionally we get a little holiday. A lot of times we'll call a break being we take 2 hours off in the afternoon to go do something. And oftentimes it's running errands. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that, because in our daily vlogs, that is kind of our goal. We're trying to show you what real life is like on a working farm. Ours is a sheep farm, but any farm, especially those with livestock, are encountering the same things. At the moment, I'm in the main barn, which is our old dairy barn. It's kind of a little bit like a dungeon, but we've brightened it up as much as we can, and we leave windows and doors open so it feels fresh. But in the winter, we do have to close it down. And like I say, because we're in Canada, you'll have seen us rolling out straw in these pens. And this is usually how we do it. We place a round bale in the pen and literally just roll it out through the pens. So the purpose of the straw bedding is to keep the sheep clean, to keep the sheep dry, to keep the sheep warm, and to keep the sheep comfortable. It serves a lot of purposes. Nowadays, and in warmer climates, a lot of people forego putting bedding out and are using slatted floors. Those are floors that they're either some type of plastic or wood with little holes between, so that and under the floors would be like a pit of some sort where the urine and manure could accumulate, and then once a year or however often they do it, they would remove that manure. And I'm assuming that some would have automated systems where the manure came out. I don't know too much about slatted floors. I don't feel like I love slatted floors. They just don't seem friendly. I understand that they'd be fantastic for the farmer because much cleaner. However, for the sheep, I'm thinking not so friendly. They lamb on the slatted floors. So I mean, the manure goes through the slats and the urine does, but it's going to get wet. It's going to get dirty. It's not comfortable. And I'm assuming that all that buildup of pure urine and manure underneath the floor, if you were to have a system like this where they're indoor a lot of time, I'm thinking when the sheep are laying on those slats, there's a lot of ammonia buildup, gases coming up, and the sheep are breathing that in, which I'm thinking is going to cause lung problems. Because one of the reasons we're cleaning out the barns today is that we're getting ready for lambing. And there's not an enormous buildup of manure right now because we did clean it out after lambing. And I think we've done it even since lambing as well. So there's not a lot, but we want it to be super clean when lambs come. The floors in our main barn here are concrete. Again, ideal for the farmer because it makes scraping it all up and cleaning it a lot easier and quicker. However, for the sheep, concrete floors offer no drainage. So what happens is we roll out a bale of straw, an old bale of hay. You could use sawdust, shavings, whatever you use. But eventually the layers get taller and taller, and you do have to remove it and clean it all out. If there's no drainage for that bedding pack, it's going to get mucky, smelly, much smellier, and you get the ammonia buildup. And those gases kind of burn their lungs and contribute to the formation of lung issues such as pneumonia. I honestly can say we have never in 25 years had pneumonia in our sheep. So we're doing something right. So it's going into the winter months now, and we are going to be closing up these barns. So we want to clean it all out so that once the doors are closed and the windows are closed, when it's minus 20 degrees, minus 40 degrees sometimes, the barns will stay warm, but they won't be smelly because the old bedding packs with the ammonia buildup will be gone. We'll go to the coveralls next. The floors are different in the new buildings. Again, it's always working your way around what you have available for you. In the wintertime, though, this bedding pack, when you have a whole bunch of levels of straw, one on top of the other over, say, 6-month period, it gets really warm because it's composting. And when things compost, it creates heat. And as you watch Arnie today removing manure and spreading it on the field, you will see it's basically smoke coming off the manure. You think manure is wet, but it's very, very hot. And in the winter in Canada, that has the added benefit of helping keep the barns and the sheep warm. Also, those bedding packs for lambs when they're just born and when it's cold in the wintertime, the fresh layer that you put out is nice and puffy. And if you lay in it, and I've lain in it quite a bit, as you've seen in the videos, it's really cozy, comfortable, snugly warm. It's like a fresh, clean blanket. So that's the other benefit of straw. But yes, as you'll see today, you have to remove it. But even removing it has a benefit. Arnie got a little start on the manure yesterday. I think he got out 12 loads, 5-ton loads he's figuring. And it took this front section of our manure pile away. but it goes all the way back here. And like this pile here is probably 8 feet tall, and it goes all the way back. When we put it out, it can be that tall, but over the summer, like I said, it's decomposing, so it shrinks down, but still that bedding pack is 4 to 6 feet deep all the way back to the fence. So it's a lot of manure. And all of that has to be taken out of the barns with the skid steer and the bucket. In the old barn, because this is an old dairy barn, we have pipes where the dairy cows used to be, and they're support pipes, so we can't remove them. And the ceiling is very low in these old barns, so it's more tricky and time consuming to remove the manure from these barns. The coveralls and new barns that people build nowadays are much taller to make working with the animals a lot easier. Hi, you're lovely. Yeah. So yesterday was kind of a greasy day for spreading manure. What happens is, as you're driving through the fields, the wet ground sticks to the tires, and as you drive on the road, it goes flying off, and the neighbors really complain heavily if you get dirt on the roads. So you can only work when the fields are fairly dry. So he waited yesterday until it was a lot drier. The puddles had gone away, and he found it wasn't too mucky on the ground. But if a farmer puts dirt on the roads, he's expected to also go clean it all off, or neighbors will complain. So we try as best as possible to keep manure and dirt off the roads and to work only when it's dry. But like all things in farming, sometimes things like that are impossible because you just can't control Mother Nature, and we have to get jobs done because we're under a lot of time constraints. And unlike yesterday, today is freezing cold. So Arnie's going to be cold today loading manure.
I fed you kilogram, huh?
What?
I fed you kilogram.
Okay, so I don't have to go in and do that, Pen?
No, don't need you dead today.
Okay. So if you ever see me in Hilton's pen, you know that Arnie's wishing me dead that day.
Well, you know what you said. I'm going to tell you something. I might as well say it to you. You said Hilton has to go, but I'm thinking I'm going to miss you, Lynn. Hilton's not going.
Good for you, honey. You enjoy your hot dogs.
They're not bad. They're consistent.
Are they?
Yeah.
We're waiting to see what you do with one of those.
Oh, yeah.
The proof is in the pudding. And actually, since he mentioned Hilton, in the spur of the moment, I said Hilton had to go. But as you recall from yesterday's video, I did say 2 strikes, you're out. I understand he was in a breeding group, maybe having a bad day. So, yeah, he's a good quality ram. He's not a pet at all. We never pet him. And he's never been aggressive in the past. I don't know what was up his wazoo that time. But he doesn't want us around his ewes. Arnie, what is it?
I was petting Hilton this morning. She turned it
No,
off.
I'm turning it around to focus on you, Arnie. We want to focus only on you. It's of most import.
I was petting Hilton this morning. He came right up to me. He feels really bad about the whole situation.
How are you petting Hilton? He's not even tame.
He came right up to me.
Oh, I'm guessing you...
He was leaning into me. He feels really bad.
No, he wanted to kill you. He never comes up to you.
I think he was just having a bad day.
Yeah, like I said, 2 strikes, you're out.
No, 3 you're out then.
No. Okay, baseball. We'll go 3, but I'm telling you, if he injures me once, he's out. Luckily for me, I was able to catch him before he did any damage.
You don't get hit this morning here.
I'm not going in with the ram this
any
morning.
rams, so.
Well, I've been in all the pens so far this morning. Oh, and these coveralls of which we have 3 that are, most of them are 50 feet wide by 140 feet long, and then our old one is 40 feet wide and 160 feet long. But the base under this bedding pack is a mixture of sand and gravel, and we much prefer these. The sand and gravel does pack down so that when you're cleaning the barns out, you don't actually scrape much of the sand and gravel out along with the manure, but you do pick up some. But the nice thing about that kind of base is it drains. And with these curtains blowing across it, they dry out really, really nicely as well. So it's never mucky in here. Hi there. You look like you wanted to be on camera. So that's why we really like these barns. They're airy, they're bright, they're fresh. The higher roof and no obstacles in here. It's pretty quick to clean out these barns. And if we find that the base has diminished significantly, we will often buy in a load of gravel and just top it up. But we don't do it a lot. It's not a really expensive thing, and we feel that the sheep are much healthier with this type of floor. But you can imagine that if you have this many barns, because we have sheep running in 5 barns at our place, and we're putting bedding out, it creates a lot of manure, because this bedding pack that he lifts up, he's putting it on the fields, and it acts as fertilizers for our crops. We don't, hi May, how you doing? We don't spread it on hay fields because the manure contains worms and stuff like that. So we would rather not put any manure on the hay fields. If the hay fields are starting to lack fertilizer, then we will spray fertilizer on them. And then when the hay fields are played out and we tear them down, like we're going to be doing with another field in another video shortly, at that point we'll start throwing manure on those fields as well. So we're always using the bedding pack for manure, which is fertilizer for our crops every year. As we've also mentioned in other videos, fertilizer costs have tripled in the last few years. So adding the manure is extremely cost effective as well, because it saves us on having to buy so much liquid fertilizer, artificial fertilizer from the feed stores. Because you do need fertilizer in order for plants to grow, crops especially. They will leach your soil out very quickly, especially corn. And you have to replace every year the nutrients they remove from the soil, or eventually the soil will become infertile. So there is a use for all this manure. Got a few little visitors here. Hi. You guys are all coming to say hello now. Would you guys all like to go outside right now? Hey? My goodness, you guys are so nice. How did you guys get to be so nice? How did it happen? Were you born that way? I think you were. Because we tend to have the friendly gene on our farm. Hi, you ran over here quickly. Who are you? Hi, you're especially friendly. Hi there. Hi. Come on, you guys, we'll let you out. They're starting to get dirty bums. So pretty soon we'll be deworming this group and probably locking them up at that point until the snow flies. Then they can go run around again, but once we deworm them, we tend to keep them in. That way they won't get worms again. We like to deworm as little as possible. So this will be their first deworming. And these lambs were born January right through to, there's a few really small ones that were born in May. And we have a couple of cullies in here still. You guys, are you lining up? Are you ready to go? Yeah? You want to go outside? Come on then, we'll open up the gates. And as you know, they're on the very last paddock of the season. There's still some hay left in there. It's not great quality hay at this time of year. Don't let people tell you it's good quality hay just because it's still long and it's still there. At this time of year, the grass is going dormant, saving all its nutrients to its roots, and it's becoming very watery and mucky, which is part of the reason they have dirty bums. If you have a lot of liquid in your diet, it can create diarrhea. But they do have worms too. That's why we have dry hay in here for them, so that they're not eating pure liquid. Hi girls, you look lovely. Just lovely. Hi. It's okay. It's okay. Come on through. There you go. There you go. Join the others. Sheep. If one goes, they all want to go. You too. There they are. Don't worry. That's stressful, isn't it, when they're all gone? Slow down. Come on. They're out here. You can come out. Hi. There they are. Run. There you go. Okay, they're off to the fields for the day. As you know, they're free to come and go all day, and we lock them in at night because of coyotes. Okay, Arnie's just gotten back for another loading of the manure spreader here. One Cody just purchased, and he's agreed to rent it out to us each year, and that way we don't have to buy our own. They're quite expensive, like all farm equipment, and we're really happy to be helping him out because he's a new farmer. Trying to get started up, and people like him are few and far between, so hopefully we can help him out by helping him pay off some of his equipment more quickly, and he can help us by letting us use this equipment. And there's the steam coming off the manure pile. I'll focus in on it. So with the combining, when you saw dust or smoke coming off the combine, it was actually dust. This is steam from the heat generated by the organic material, the manure and the bedding and the hay composting. And if you touch it, it's very warm. And that's why it makes great bedding for the sheep. and it's rich in nutrients for the soil. So what we take away from the soil with cropping, we're trying to put back every year. That's load is full. Those things at the back are called the beaters. Those things will turn around and they have knives on them. And as they turn, they'll chop out the manure and spit it out onto the field. At the front there's a panel that as it's driving along, it pushes the manure towards the back where the beaters are and helps keep the manure flowing. We'll head out to the field and see how it works. So right now we're in the bean field where we saw all the golf balls that our neighbor across the road here uses our field as a practice range. Not good for the farming, but it's hard to stop things like that. But this is the first field we can get to because to access the other bean fields, barn is blocking the way, so we're going to be doing those fields later. But this one was available, so here we are. So the front of the field, he hasn't spread yet, and you can see it has that blanket of chopped up bean stalks, and it looks kind of pretty. He's in this field over the culvert, working it here, and you can see here it looks kind of muddy or dirty, and that's because he's spreading in here. And so you can see, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but right behind the tractor in the manure spreader there's like a wall, and that wall is on a pulley system, and it pushes the pile of manure slowly back towards those beaters that you can see are spinning around, chopping up the manure and the stalks that are left in the bedding pack and spitting it out the back. And like I said, that's not dust, that's the heat coming off the manure and the rotted down vegetation. And also, you may notice, it's only been a couple of days, but we've had a few windstorms and all the beautiful leaves are gone. Luckily, we have the coniferous trees, which always keep their quills, but all the deciduous trees pretty well have lost their leaves. So we were lucky that we caught that moment while we could during harvest. because it's almost empty. And you may not want to hear it, but the manure pile is a compost pile. So any sheep that die on our property are buried in that manure as well. Luckily, we don't have that many sheep that die on the property, but when they do, they get buried, and they get buried in the manure pile, and it's so hot that those bodies disintegrate very quickly. Like, seems like within a month there's nothing left, and those also get spread all over the field. So the bodies are also of use. It's like a circle of life, right? That silver wall is right at the end of the manure spreader. So, and you can see it moving back to the front. It's slowly going forward. And once it's at the front, he's able to reload manure into it. And it's almost at the very front right now. It's still moving up. You can see it there. And he's off home to load her up again. He's hoping to get, I think, 35 loads out today. It's a tedious job, but one that we have to do every year. Actually, usually twice a year. So as I'm driving on the road, you can see the dirt from the fields that has come off Arnie's tires and onto the road. Mostly in front of the golf ball house, because that's the field right across from him. And it could be why he tosses golf balls into our fields, which is really not a good thing. He's not a farmer. People don't like farmers in their neighborhood or support us, but I'm guessing because there's some dirt on the road, which really can't be helped, we could get a call from the city warning us to make sure we go out with the scraper and clean that up. Rain would just wash it away, but people complain. And before all the city people moved in here, this was a farming community, but slowly, as farmers are pushed out, the city people are taking over, as is happening everywhere. People want their food, but they don't want the smells and dirt that comes with it. So on that note, I think you get the gist of manure spreading and its value to farmers and its importance, why we do it, and how it benefits the sheep, the fields, and the farmers. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for the next episode at Ewetopia Farms. Oh, one more thing. Yesterday while Arnie was working, I've been working on some more merch items. I do all the artwork and stuff for our merch. It's something I'm learning. It's not that easy, but Arnie mentioned, I won't talk about that because it's actually a surprise. But there is going to be new merchandise available, and also the calendars. If you are looking for a calendar this year, please let me know right away. Like send me an email, which is in the description. The calendars are something that I also make myself. I don't do the printing, but I do the photographs, and I pick the ones that we're going to use for this year's calendar, and I have to prepay them in advance. And the more I order, the cheaper it is for me, and then I can pass those savings on to you guys. So I need to have a pretty good idea of how many to order in order to have them made and pass it off. So unfortunately, the cost of shipping is pretty well the cost of making the calendars. So nothing's cheap nowadays, but they're good quality calendars. They're not the type that you get for free that feed dealers hand out that are basically tossaways at the end. You could keep the calendar for quite a while and keep the photos and stuff like that. Anyway, please let me know if you think you're going to be interested, and then I can find out what the prices will be this year. Okay, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the slideshow. Bye for now.